It's my pleasure to welcome you here to the Clark Show. You know, our mission is to serve you with advice and information that empowers you so you make better financial decisions in your life. Today, well, it's our last episode for this week, but also we're not putting out new shows next week because it's July 4th holiday week coming.
We will put some best ofs out.
There will be best ofs, that's true. At the end of this podcast, I'll talk to you about why the 4th of July is my favorite holiday. Do I love this holiday? But first, we need to find out where you feel like I don't deserve the love, where I've messed up, where it's time for the weekly Clark Stinks episode. And later, I'm going to talk about changes going on with eating out. You know, restaurant owners are facing enormous pressure from labor costs and how they're reacting to that. Many different ways. Some you'll like, some you're not going to like. We'll share that ahead. But right now it's time to find out how I'm stinking it up.
I should have never encouraged you to speak.
You must think I'm pretty stupid.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe you're right, pal.
You're as stinky as the Swedish surströmming sour herring.
What is that?
Calling the Costco rotisserie chicken plastic bag brilliant made me cringe. Besides contributing to the plastic pollution in our environment, putting hot food in or heating up anything with plastic is horrible for your health. As you may rebut, there is less plastic used or BPA free. The marketing behind it is unethical and incorrect. The so-called BPA free was replaced with BPS, which has the same harmful effects. Don't let Costco bias, dishonest marketing, and cost savings sway you to the dark side, Kwaki-wan. And that's from Anthony.
Anthony, thank you. I'll just let that one stand on its own.
Okay. Clark, I would not say you stink, but you did miss out on some advice on cryptocurrency. I agree I would not purchase any crypto outright, but look at some ETFs in your favorite children. There are some crypto ETFs that pay a decent dividend yield. Not sure if you want to mention this one. And they mentioned one that's paid out $2.23 per share so far this year, and last year, 2023, $3.10 per share. Not a penny ETF, but not the most expensive either, at about $27 per share today. Another one to look at pays a good dividend yield. The nice thing is you can just place a trade to sell them whenever you wish. Pavo,
okay, so I've never addressed the ETF angle on crypto, and I do prefer the ETFs because you know it's on a platform, your holdings in the ETF are secure, and it just rises or falls with the underlying value converted into dollars of the crypto you own. So I agree with you. If you're going to buy crypto, buying a crypto ETF is absolutely the way to go.
Once again, someone called in questioning whether they should cash in a whole life policy for the surrender value, and you did not mention the life settlement option. Although you did refer to the insurance policy evaluation service, you did a disservice to your listeners by not mentioning this little-known option that does exist. Life settlement transactions provide much more cash to the policyholder than the surrender value offered on horrible whole life, variable life, and universal life products. This is not a shady deal. It is a well-regulated industry. Look into it, please, Mr. Howard. And
Mr. Howard?
They say Betty White was also a big advocate trying to get the word out about life settlements, but insurance companies quiet this industry the best they can as it eats into their profits, forcing them to pay out the death benefit promised by the policy. Ken,
thank you. Well-regulated, no. The viaticals industry, or what's also known as death futures contracts, has always been kind of it's always been out there and kind of okay, kind of not. And so I don't want to ever green light it. I'd maybe give it a yellow caution light. All right, so here's the deal. Somebody needs money while they're living. There's a secondary market where you can sell that policy off in return for a cash payment. The cash payment will usually be more than what you'd get cashing the policy with the insurance company. And then someone else is responsible for making the premium payments for as long as you live. They're hoping you don't live so long. In fact, many times, the reason they're called death futures contracts is you have to provide medical proof that your life is short, you're not going to live that long, and they're going to get a big payoff, but you have money you can use as a living benefit while you're alive to deal with your expenses. So it is an area with a lot of shady characters, but in certain situations, it will way outperform what you get paid versus what you could get paid by the life insurance policy itself while you're living.
On a recent podcast, you discussed how a credit freeze hinders an insurance company's ability to see your credit history, which could be problematic for consumers when obtaining auto or home insurance quotes. I have had my credit frozen for many years, and despite this, I haven't had any trouble obtaining competitive auto and home insurance policy quotes dozens of times. I found a page on TransUnion's website that says an insurance company can review your credit report for underwriting purposes, even if it's locked or frozen. Experian seems to concur, saying that on their website, companies requesting your credit report for the purpose of insurance underwriting will be able to see your credit information even when a credit freeze is in place. There's a similar sentiment on Equifax's website. I think you got this one wrong. What do you think? Stephen from Texas.
Stephen, I will definitely check this because historically people were having problems in a number of states because of credit freezes and insurers being able to see their files. If that's no longer an issue, I need to stand corrected, and I will, in fact, correct this on the podcast if I'm using old information and not what's up to date. And thank you for doing that digging you did.
The word stink is too strong for this, but having blinders on may be more appropriate. I've been with you since the beginning with both broadcast and books. I dislike politics but enjoy studying the economy. You keep saying we have a strong economy. When it appears you are overlooking is the fact that for the majority of people in this country, the economy is what they are experiencing and seeing in their own backyard. They could care less about numbers. They see that they are spending much more for their groceries, utilities, taxes, and insurance. They have to cut back on everything to afford the life they had a few years ago. They see their friends putting their homes up for sale since they can't pay for them. They see people getting cars repossessed and seniors living out of cars. That is the economy to us, and it doesn't look good. Mary.
Mary, thank you. And we discussed this on a podcast, I think last month, the K economy. There have been various cycles that we and other countries have been in a K economy. And what a K economy is there's been a big split where a meaningful segment of our population is doing really, really well. Let's say 30, 35%. But we have a significant percent of the remaining 60 or 65% or so who are really struggling, whose incomes have not kept up with the cost of living, inflation, the various things we must pay. And so both are true at the same time. The overall economy is doing very, very well, but the fruits of that growing economy have not been shared equally across the country.
I've heard you talk about it twice now and wonder if you have any clue about storm damage to a roof. When people file a claim, do you think they automatically get a new roof? No, the insurance company still has an adjuster come out to determine if there's any storm-related damage. The adjuster decides whether the roof needs to be repaired or replaced, not the roofer. But your brilliant advice on having a neighbor kid fly a drone to look for storm damage has saved me money on my roof and now for all my medical needs. After recently having chest pains, I immediately called my neighbor's kid and had him fly his drone over me, and he was able to assure me it was probably something other than a heart attack. The time he saved me from having an actual medical professional diagnose me was fantastic. Next week, I'm having him inspect a used car I'm looking at buying by flying his drone around it. Due to your advice, I now only have unqualified kids do everything for me instead of trained professionals. Jeff.
Oh, Jeff, thank you. So this has varied by states. There are a number of states that insurers have been put in a defensive position by the roof claims that have been coming in because the door-to-door salespeople who say, hey, we can get you a new roof. You know, there was just this big storm here. And so it is true in some states that the insurers call the shots on this. In others, particularly Florida, has been much in the news about this. The legislature tried to deal with it recently, but it has been a serious problem in the roofing, with the roofing claims that are false claims.
You don't stink, but you're actually on my Mount Rushmore of financial advice. But when someone wrote in about the fuel at gas stations being on unbranded trucks, the real reason behind that is your big oil players are no longer in the gas station business. They are just independent operators that have agreed to carry a specific brand. I work for the biggest refiner in the United States that still has a private fleet, and I've never delivered to a gas station that has my company's name on it because we don't own them. The most important thing about gas that you didn't mention is how often a station changes their pump filters. Thomas,
no one has ever mentioned that in all the decades that I've been broadcasting and podcasting. Wow.
Yeah.
Change out the filtration systems at
Filters, yeah. You learn something new every week on Clark Stinks. It's awesome. How do you find out?
I don't know.
I guess you ask them. Clark, you stink like the gym bag left in the back of my truck for 2 long, hot weeks. Several weeks ago, in response to a listener question, you promised to research whether you should be paying taxes on CD interest periodically for the duration of the CD or one time at maturity. Unless I'm mistaken, in which case you can have a hopefully short Todd Stink segment, you have not come back to address this. Thank you for all you do for the average folks out there fighting the good fight. Todd.
Todd, that is my fail. I completely forgot, and I'll do the research and update.
The research I've done does say that you are supposed to pay the taxes in the year it was that the interest was earned, even if you haven't cashed in the CD. It does say that.
So you did check.
I did check that, yeah.
So see, Clark stinks. Christa did the follow-up. And so we have the answer. Thank you, Christa.
Sure. Clark, you stink for not utilizing your incredible tech resources you have in your home. Your kids. If you had told them about the problem with having the water heater's circulating pump always running so you can have hot water quickly, they would have told you to use a smart plug. I have my circulating pump connected this way, and it's synced up to my Alexa. I don't want to say that out loud in case it sets off someone's device. I created a routine. When I give the command hot water, the plug comes on for 8 minutes. That's how long it takes to get the hot water to my master bedroom. I can also initiate it with the plug's app as well, or use an Apple shortcut I created on the phone. So many ways to activate a smart plug, and if someone is not tech inclined, they sell remote controlled plugs too. No apps or Wi-Fi needed, but your remote will have to be in the range of that plug. Stop wasting energy by having the hot water always moving through uninsulated pipes, and start using the brain power we have around us and in our home. Share the problem you're trying to solve, and you'll be surprised at the ideas that spring out from your family. Art,
I love this. If you missed that conversation before, you know how much water we waste when we turn on a shower or a sink, and it's cold water for a long time, and then finally it'll warm up. Think how much water you wasted. So these circulation systems move the water around so it's continually hot, so you're not wasting all that water. Well, now we're hearing an even better improvement of the circulation systems that warms the water only when you know you're going to use it, and think how much money that saves. See, perfect example about why we do Clark Stinks. So thank you very much for all your posts. I appreciate them very much. If there's something you feel I need to update, correct, or you're just really not happy with me, please go to clark.com/ClarkStinks and post away. Coming up ahead, we're going to talk about the pressures, the price pressures restaurateurs are under and what they're doing about it. So my wife and I eat out too much. Don't eat at home enough. And I, like everybody else, have noticed the pressures with the prices at restaurants and staffing and all the rest. And I want to tell you, capitalists figure it out. They do figure it out. And one of the things that is finally reaching a point of being in use, and you're going to see more and more of it, are robotics being employed at restaurants. For many years, I would cover the consumer electronics show now called CES for various networks and groups of TV stations across America. And it was long ago that I'd see these rudimentary attempts being pitched at CES for robotics in the kitchen at restaurants and on the floor at restaurants. And now they're ready for prime time. And the market needs them. As I shared recently, I was in Japan, and the robotics were in play over and over again in restaurants. If you go in many Chick-fil-A's now in the United States, they're using robots to deliver food to your table. And they really work. And now more and more robotics are being used in the kitchen of restaurants to wash the dishes, to flip the burgers, to do so many different tasks. One of the things coming that nobody was even talking about at CES years ago is robotics where they can make precision things like salads with the ingredients you ask for. Put in, you say, light this or heavy that or none of this. The robots will be able to do it. Because it's not costing people jobs. You talk to restaurateurs, they can't get enough workers. In California, where there's the new crazy minimum wage for restaurant workers, restaurants are having to reorient and use every bit of technology they can to be able to serve customers, try to hold the prices down. And this is tough and still make a profit. So we're going to see what capitalists do. They adapt. Think about restaurants that used to be open 7 days a week, now open 5 days a week. Used to stay open till midnight, now closing at 9:30 or whatever it is. People adapt. Businesses adapt. And you know, restaurants are having apparently their highest, best year ever. So, yeah, we're going to have changes, a variety of them. But that's what businesses do to serve the customer. Because as I shared weeks ago, a lot of people are on buyer's strike. They're seeing these prices of who knows what, including restaurant meals. And they're saying, that's too rich for me. So the market will adjust. Some of it may be uncomfortable for you with the robots. I think it's cool.
All right, we'll go to some questions that are related. Rob in South Carolina says, I know you've addressed this topic recently, but I'm a bit confused on one aspect of the restaurant card service fee. I've read online and heard from others that restaurants and other merchants are forbidden from charging a service fee if you pay by debit card. However, I've not been able to find any official source or law for this. It seems like many of the restaurants I go to make no distinction between paying by credit or debit. Can I assert with a waiter or cashier that they have no right to charge a service fee if I pay with my debit card, or is this just misinformation?
So Visa and MasterCard have a regulation for merchants that they cannot charge a surcharge when you pay with a debit card. Many restaurants don't have the ability to clear a debit card as debit.
Meaning you'd use your PIN.
Right. So if a debit card clears as credit, they're paying the same high fees for it as if it was a Visa or MasterCard credit card. So normally restaurants don't have the ability for you with their payment systems to enter a PIN, and that may be the distinction with the difference. But you are right. A debit card cleared as debit, you're not supposed to pay a fee for.
Sue in Wisconsin says, I noticed on a recent visit to St. Paul, Minnesota, that my restaurant receipts had a 4% health and wellness charge added onto my dinner along with sales tax. When I called the restaurant manager, he said it was to offset the high cost of health care insurance for their employees. The manager said some states charge a 5% health and wellness fee. Can a person refuse to pay that added fee? Doesn't seem fair that the customer has to help pay insurance for others. I love your podcast and tell all my friends to listen to it.
So, Sue, this started in California, in the city of San Francisco, that restaurants were adding this health and wellness charge. California, as I understand it now, no longer allows, they have a truth in menu prices, where whatever junk fees they want to add have to be there right before your eyes in the prices. And this is a thing that restaurateurs have done because customers freak out when they see the menu price of their favorite item being more than the last time they went. But they generally don't even pay attention to all the surcharges added when the bill comes. And so that's why there are things like these health and wellness charges and who knows what other charges there are. It's all about marketing. It's like the airlines quoting you a price, but then you can't pay that price because of all the other fees you have to pay.
Bruce in Minnesota says, here's a tip Clark will like. While entering a regional restaurant chain for dinner with friends, I saw the dreaded sign on their front door. Card users will be charged a 3% fee. Cash and gift card holders will not. After spending my life in retail, I just don't get it. It's simply another cost of doing business. You wouldn't add a fee for utilities, insurance, yes they would, rent, or napkins. If you need to add 50 cents to the price of a burger, so be it. So when the bill came, without hardly leaving the dinner conversation, I went to their website and purchased a digital gift card with my Amex card with no additional fee to cover the bill with a nice tip. The server scanned the QR code on my phone, and we were instantly settled much, much faster than our friends that paid with cash or credit cards. Maybe if more of us did this, they will change their policy.
Okay, that is very clever. And a lot of times a restaurant, when you buy the gift card from them, they give you bonus dollars as well. How clever is that? The other thing I want to mention again that I mentioned months ago is restaurants that now have the QR code to pay your bill, and then they add a fee for paying your bill using their QR code instead of paying the server for your meal. That one is really, really slimy. You're saving them labor, and they're charging you extra for your meal because you paid that way. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast. And remember, we're going to be back on the 8th of July. Brand new stuff for you. Don't worry. We'll have plenty of info for you on our website, on our YouTube channel. And I hope that you have a wonderful 4th of July holiday week. And I want to tell you, I love this country. I love these United States of America. We are not perfect. But I am the grandson of 4 immigrants to the United States. And I feel so grateful to have had the opportunities that this country has brought to me and my extended family of multiple generations. We really are so lucky to live here. Think about it. You got all these dictatorships around the world that imprison people or torture them or kill them if they try to leave. They're locked in prisons that are the borders of their own country. Our issue, on the other hand, is everybody loves us to death and wants to come here. It's because this is in spite of all our warts and all our problems, the land of opportunity. And I am so glad to be here. But I also want to introduce Grace to you. Grace, who is on our social media team and works with us on the podcast and YouTube show. Grace is an immigrant to the United States. And I remember I was at your swearing-in ceremony, and the tears just came down your face that day. How many years ago was that?
Oh my God, 2016. 2016, around 2016.
So 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I gave you an American flag that day. It was quite a day. Why is it that those tears of joy came out of you that day?
Me and my parents were there, and they were also crying because, Clark, I often say that those who know what it's like to live without America truly appreciate this country. We know what it's like to live outside. We know what it's like in our home countries. We miss it. We miss our culture, our food, our friends, and our family. But the amount of opportunities we have here, from safety to opportunity to work and grow, it's not only about the money, it's about living comfortably. It's about knowing that our kids are safe. So I often encourage people to, if they don't have any immigrants in their family, or I encourage people to just ask, like if you're in an Uber, if you're at a grocery store, or if one of your colleague happens to be an immigrant, ask them what it's like to live in America. How do you like to live here? Like I always ask, whenever I hear an accent, I ask, where are you from? And the person tells me where they're from, and I say, so how do you like America? And I've been living in this country for over 20 years, and I have never heard, I kind of like better where I came from. No, we always hear, oh my gosh, it's the greatest place in the world. It's not perfect, but it's so great. Believe me, guys, it is so much better. And I came as a teenager, but it was because of my parents, the courage of my parents to come and try to live a better life, to give us an opportunity for a better life. So I'm forever thankful for this country. I'm thankful for you, Clark, because he was in my case. He's like, you need to become a citizen. And I'm like, I don't want to spend more money with paperwork. And he's like, you gotta. And I did it.
Because you were a green card holder.
I had a green card
And I was like, Grace, do you want to go back to where you came from?
Yes.
And she said, no. And started laughing. And I said, do it. And I did it. And I've been so happy. And this is my home. And I couldn't be any more thankful for Clark and for this country to give me what's given me and my family. So let me say something to you as we close this out. 4th of July is my favorite holiday, because I love what this country has brought to me. And there are people who say, you're not a patriot if you criticize this country. Yeah, you are. No place is perfect. America continually evolves. There are things about our country that aren't great, that we need to fix, that we need to work on. And that's what we've always been about. We are the ultimate continuous improvement project in the United States, because America is a beacon to the world, because we are the world's greatest melting pot. We are the world's greatest democracy, and we are the world's greatest example of capitalism that exists in the world and opportunity for people. So I love this country, and as always, if you have served or do serve in the U.S. military, thank you for that, because we didn't become the land of the free and the brave by just being free first. It took bravery from people on multiple battlefields for us to be this great country. And I thank all those through history who have sacrificed for our great nation. So as you enjoy your cookout or your lake visit or whatever you're going to do over the 4th of July week, take a moment to appreciate what this country has made possible for you, your family, and your friends. So have a wonderful 4th of July holiday week, and I'll see you after the holiday.